Time to talk the latest from the Australian Ice Hockey League here on Sports Overnight. The finals tickets have already gone on sale via the website, which is the AIHL, and people can check out the information there. One of the teams that's looking to be there are the Sydney Ice Dogs. They won 2 games over the weekend, moving up to third place, and from the Sydney Ice Dogs, Anthony Wilson joins us. Anthony, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Well, congratulations on the results over the weekend. Take us through the games.
We were fairly confident about both games. We hadn't played the Bears as yet this season, but I guess just watching some of their results, we kind of had a good feeling going into the game and came out the winners in the end, which was good.
Well, you hadn't played the Bears, as you said, the Sydney side, the other Sydney side, your big rivals there. Can you tell us sort of, I guess, how deep this rivalry runs?
It dates right back to probably a year after the league started when the Ice Dogs came in. A lot of the players we've all grown up playing against each other, and back in the days before the Ice Dogs were around, it was the Blacktown Flyers, and that team sort of amalgamated and turned into the Ice Dogs. So the rivalry between the Bears and the Dogs has been alive and well for 20-odd plus years. So we just don't really like each other, to be honest, and a couple of us are friends off the ice, but on the ice it's quite fiery, which is fun.
Oh, it's the way it needs to be. Is there one particular player on the team which is sort of a player that you've come up with, quite often recently?
Not a real fierce single rivalry myself, but I guess it's always very competitive playing against Vladimir Rubes. Vladdy's been around for a long time, and I've been on national teams with him, and now he's been on the Bears for quite a while as well. So we always have a good run-in, and he's a fierce competitor as well, so keeps all the spectators on their seats.
We're chatting with Anthony Wilson from the Sydney Ice Dogs in the Australian Ice Hockey League. They won 2 games on the weekend to move up to third place. A few teams starting to make the moves in ahead of the finals, and the tickets for the finals are on sale at the moment. People can head to the website for further details there. Anthony, what's been the key, I suppose, for the Ice Dogs turnaround in form in the last couple of weeks?
We actually had a decent start to the season, and then we hit a bit of a rough spot right in the centre. I think basically we've become quite a systematic team, and we're playing the system that the coach wants. So just having all the guys on the one page is working well.
When you compare the Australian Ice Hockey League to leagues that we see on television, probably the likes of the NHL in the States, so can you tell us the biggest differences between the NHL and the Australian leagues?
Definitely speed. The NHL guys do absolutely everything at top speed, and a lot of the Australian guys and even some of the imports that we get tend to slow down and make a conscious decision, where the NHL guys, most of the decisions they make are at 100% speed and a lot of it without thought, more instinct. So I always compare our league. Our first line would be that of probably a college or a university level hockey in America or Canada. The first line the second line would be something of a Junior A Tier 2 league in Canada, and a third line would be kind of like a Junior B league.
How did you get into the sport, Anthony?
I started skating when I was about 5, and then Dad put me into ice hockey when I was about 8.
That's probably relatively young, isn't it?
It was back then. Most players used to start around 12 to 14 when they finished with soccer or rugby league or whatever, and then they'd tend to drift over into ice hockey. Yet I was fortunate enough that I had parents that took me to all of the sports until I reached an age, and Dad said, "Mate, you've got to make a decision." So I chose to stick with hockey.
So what were you deciding between then?
I had soccer on the go, motorbike riding, and hockey. So it was a pretty easy choice for me, I think. I've been in it a long time now, and I've never looked back.
Well, I guess the motorbike riding and the ice hockey, you can get pretty severe injuries. Football, maybe not so as much. What's the worst injury you've had in ice hockey?
In hockey, probably dislocating shoulders has been my worst injuries. I've had both knees just cleaned up, but that's just through wear and tear. But dislocating the shoulder on the ice is probably the worst injury I've had.
You mentioned the wear and tear on knees. Is that probably the most common treatment that ice hockey players have, just having it cleaned up throughout their careers?
No, I don't think so. Hockey's very forgiving on the knees compared to league or soccer. You're not. It's not a pounding sport on your knees. It's a lot more fluid. Where league you are running and pounding on your joints. So that's why you see ice hockey players. I think getting into their career and they're 40 odd years of age, and it's actually quite common, especially playing in their mid to late 30s, where league, AFL, soccer, those guys are hovering around 30 and their careers are just about done.
So what's the general retirement age for an ice hockey player then?
Look, I'd say the average, if I was to guess the average retirement in the NHL, I'd go out on a limb and say between 33 and 36, something like that.
Okay, so that's, a decent career. If you get in there, you're young, you make your way through at about 19 or 20, that's, a decade and a half in the top flight.
Decade and a half of earning $1 million plus a year, that's not a bad career.
Not bad if you can get it. Tell us about what the side needs to improve on in the coming weeks to cement that spot in the finals, Anthony.
I think we've got to really bear down on our goal scoring. I was having a look on the league stats today, and we're actually the least scored upon a team. However, we've also scored probably close to the least goals. We've got to really bear down and put the puck in the net. We don't have a lot of natural goal scorers like a lot of the other teams. Looking through the top 10 players, we don't have a player. Then you flick to the top 20 and we've got one. You flick to the top 30 and we've got about 5 or 6. So all our depth, it's spread throughout all lines. So I'm just hoping that a couple of guys can, break away and really start burying the puck, and that'll take a lot of pressure off the rest of the team, just having to hang in there until we can get a slight break, which has been quite nerve-wracking, but seems to have worked to date.
Anthony, continued success with the Ice Dogs up into third place now. Best of luck in that push towards the finals, and we'll chat again soon. Thanks so much for joining us.
No, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
Anthony Wilson from the Sydney Ice Dogs talking the Australian Ice Hockey League has been our guest here on Sports Overnight.